So, good afternoon. John and I do have the honor together of very briefly introducing to you today ICF's choice for the Intelligent Community Visionary of the Year.
But like everyone else, we'd like to start off with a question first. So what does it take to be that visionary? And what is ICF looking for when we begin that search each year?
Well, visionaries, as I think Lou said, have a gift of seeing the future, and they have a gift of seeing a future very different, perhaps, from the one that we're expecting. They point us in new directions. Sometimes they pick us up by the scruff of the neck and insist that we march there. And that's true of Stephen Conroy, the Communications Minister of Australia, who was our 2012 visionary. It's equally true of Suvi Linden. It's equally true of Sean Graham, two of our other visionaries.
Many years ago, back in the early 1990s, I had the pleasure of visiting some very sparsely furnished offices in our 2013 Visionary of the Year's small industrial plaza next to the University of Waterloo. These co-founders showed me a prototype mobile device. I recalled asking, what would anybody want to do with a pager with a keyboard? I couldn't see a future that they were pointing me toward, and I missed out on one heck of an investment at that time.
We also salute visionaries because they change people's lives for the better. They bring us new capabilities never before imagined. They introduce new ways of seeing the world. And our visionary created the technology that made secure, real-time push email communications possible on a wireless device, a pager with a keyboard, for the first time. It was a breakthrough that opened the door to the mobile devices that are fast becoming the world's first choice for access to the broadband economy.
And I'm sure that we all thank him for making sure that our email and text messages and phone calls can reach us wherever we are and at any time of the day or night, whether we want to have them or not.
And finally, intelligent community visionaries are part of a community. They're grounded in a particular place that shaped and guided and supported them, a place that they feel compelled to give back to. That community may be as big as a nation or as small as a few city blocks.
So our visionary always wanted to create a cluster of research around quantum physics, is what I'm to understand. This is research practiced and accomplished by chemists, physicists, engineers, computer scientists, mathematicians, all working together to develop new and powerful technology that could make conventional computers seem quaint. At the recent opening of a quantum nano center in the University of Waterloo in front of local and international luminaries such as Stephen Hawking, our visionary declared his hometown of Waterloo as Quantum Valley and the beginning of a new scientific era that could transform Waterloo region's economy. Now, it is this vision, but also his service as Chancellor of the University of Waterloo and his philanthropic leadership in the founding of the Perimeter Institute for Theoretical Physics and the Institute for Quantum Computing in Waterloo that our visionary has repaid the gifts that his community gave to him many times over.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome ICF's 2013 Visionary of the Year, the co-founder of Blackberry, the managing partner of Quantum Valley Investments,
Mr. Mike Lazaridis.
John, thank you.
Take a picture.
Congratulations. Thank you very much. Get over here for now while you're talking? Sure. We promise we will.
Thanks, John. Thanks, Rob. I'm only leaving it there because they promised to give it back to me after I spoke. Thank you, Lou. Well, what do I say? It was interesting when I was talking to many of you when I came in. one of the things that I realized was that when my wife and I were building our home, we were trying to build a home just outside of Waterloo in the countryside, and we were trying to make sure that it could sustain itself. And we realized that we could bring everything, we could have everything that we needed, whether it was a septic system, we had to drill for water, and we found a really nice well on the property. We had to bring in natural gas and other things. We were able to literally, and a windmill to power electricity, so we were able to basically be self-sufficient in every way, except the one that really worried me and had me sweating, was this the right decision? And that's broadband. I was more concerned about bringing broadband and having internet connectivity at the house than I was about all these rather expensive and complex other things that made living possible. So one of the things I learned was that we could completely live independently from each other in our own fortresses. But it's the most important thing that makes it all livable is connectivity to each other and to all the information and entertainment that's out there through these broadband services. So one of the things I had to really do was I brought fiber into the little community that we were at. And in fact, when they were trying to put it in, they didn't have a place to put the fiber router, the city router. So I gave them a spot in my IT room that I had in the basement. So we now have the city router of Bamberg, this big cable coming in, and then going back out again. So. Yeah, we pay the electricity, so somebody got a good deal. The other thing that I noticed was that we have one of our other very close neighboring cities, a great partner, City of Stratford. We have Mayor Dan Matheson here, and we're all rooting for you, Dan. I mean, you're in some serious, strong competition. The fact that you're in the list is incredible to me, but I'm not surprised. So today I'd like to thank the Intelligent Community Forum for honoring me with the Visionary of the Year award. Now, as some of you may know, I'm from this little city called Waterloo in Canada. I'd like to tell you a little bit about that Waterloo region. First of all, Waterloo has a population of approximately 130,000. And since we haven't had a census, it's not even official. But I assure you there is a sign that says 130,000 as you drive through the border between Kitchener and Waterloo City. Now, Waterloo region, though, contains over 500,000 people, so it's a strong community. And I think it's fair to say historically that Waterloo has been more of a manufacturing region. Large manufacturers of products including furniture, shirts, automotive parts, tires, shoes, boots, and even spirits and beer. And more recently, electronics have all been situated in Waterloo and the surrounding region. Now, insurance companies have also played a very prominent role in the economy of Waterloo. Although insurance and manufacturing continue to play a significant role in the local economy over the past 3 decades, Waterloo has developed a very deep and committed entrepreneurial and innovative culture that's helped high-tech companies like Blackberry and many others to be successful in Waterloo. And this entrepreneurial culture exists and continues to grow today. So how did this happen? Well, I believe it started with the impact of those industries on local schools. The existence of local insurance companies led to the need for highly trained mathematicians and actuaries. Remember, this is before computers. The existence of local manufacturing led to the need for highly trained engineers and technicians. The local universities and colleges responded and developed leading capabilities in these areas. So they met the challenge very successfully in their own entrepreneurial ways. And then the entrepreneurial graduates from these programs started this region down a path towards the technological capability that exists today. So I personally took electrical engineering and computer science from the University of Waterloo. One of the things that attracted me to the university was its cooperative education program. And to my knowledge, it was the first engineering co-op program in the world. Again, very entrepreneurial, very ahead of its time. The other thing was, University of Waterloo had invested in the first mainframe computer in Canada. So we had the first mainframe computer, and we had cooperative education, both firsts. Waterloo region is home to 2 top universities and 1 top college, the University of Waterloo, Laurier University, and Conestoga College. So there's a tremendous amount of academic background and heritage and potential in that region, that very small region, that very small city. So in 1984, just barely, well, I hadn't quite finished yet, but just barely out of University of Waterloo, we started Research in Motion, now called Blackberry, with a $15,000 loan from my parents, which was matched by a similar loan from the province of Ontario's Student Venture Loan System. Since that time, we helped build one of Canada's largest tech companies, a pioneer, innovator, and leader in the global telecommunications market. From the beginning, Blackberry has been situated in Waterloo beside the University of Waterloo. So why did we do that? We've been asked, why did you establish the company where you did? Why didn't you go somewhere else? Why didn't you go to Silicon Valley? Well, the answer was very simple. And you have to go back to 1984. This is before the internet. This is before PCs. Right? Much of the things that we now take for granted hadn't happened yet. They were research projects. And so the first reason, and probably the most important reason, is because of the cutting-edge research being done at the university in engineering, computer science, mathematics, and cryptography. And that produced many spin-off technologies, companies, and strong graduates and postgraduates. Close proximity to the researchers and the students helped our recruitment of the very best. And this was absolutely instrumental to the success of the company. And secondly, the strong entrepreneurial culture of the Waterloo region. There was a real can-do spirit there. Take on the world from a tiny community in the middle of Ontario. Now, I want to say a few words about my more recent endeavors involving quantum physics. My interest in quantum physics came when I was in university. A low-key physics professor by the name of Dr. Lynn Watt, who we found out much later studied quantum mechanics from Enrico Fermi at the University of Chicago, taught an engineering course in physics for quantum mechanics and relativity theory. During the class, he shared with us an experiment that was happening in real time. Now, this is important because you have to understand, again, it's so important to put your head back in the moment. So this is 1981. In 1981, there was no internet. In 1981, we got photocopies of things. So, and in 1981, there were still handwritten corrections on documents. What we didn't realize in that course was that Dr. Lynn Watt was on some kind of a referee, a physics referee panel for this paper, this research paper of an experiment that was being done in Paris by Dr. Antoine Aspect. Now, in 1981 was a very crucial experiment was being done. It was the first time we could do an experiment like this, because the basic theory was discovered in the basic idea of this experiment was discovered in 1964 by Professor Bell. Now, what's important about this was there was this big argument since the turn of the last century on whether quantum mechanics description of the world was real. Now, you have to understand quantum mechanics goes back to 1905, and it wasn't until 1927 that the world agreed on an interpretation of quantum mechanics because it was so nonsensical. It made no sense to our common sense at all. In 1927, they came to an agreement on what it all meant. It was called the Copenhagen interpretation. Now, 1927, 20 years later, in 1947, that basic understanding of how atomic structure works led to the discovery of the transistor at Bell Labs. And then, of course, the rest is history when those technologies migrated to Silicon Valley and migrated and became Silicon Valley in California. Now, why is this important? Up until that time, there was a huge argument as to was the world the way we see it and interpret it with our senses? Or is there a deeper meaning, a deeper understanding of reality? And no one was able to come up with an experiment to prove it. And Professor Bell in 1964 came up with a very simple experiment. Very simple in concept. If you look at the mathematics, it's a simple inequality. It was very difficult to do. And it took Alain Aspect in 1981 to actually perform the experiment. And it was very decisive. The world was either classical or the world really was quantum. And during that class, we had this incredible opportunity because our teacher was showing us the preprints of this research that was happening in real time because the papers weren't formally published until 1982. And what that told us, when we saw the results of that experiment, told us the world was clearly quantum. And it was not the classical world that we all assumed. Now, this was, we were very impressionable at the time. Young engineers taking a physics course and realizing the world is not the way we expected it to be. And we recognized then, like others, that there was a huge opportunity for quantum materials and quantum technologies to transform society. We realized that nothing that you see in the classical world could prepare you for what you were going to see in the coming quantum revolution. And so with the financial success and experience that I acquired through Blackberry, in 2000, I led the formation for the Perimeter Institute for Theoretical Physics, which is an independent theoretical physics research institute in Waterloo. Recognizing the need for collaboration between theorists and experimentalists, in 2002, I helped lead the establishment of the Institute for Quantum Computing at the University of Waterloo. IQC is an experimental research institute focusing on quantum information science. In a relatively short period of time, Perimeter and IQC have emerged as leading industrial centers for theoretical physics research, training, and outreach. In 2012, we had the official opening of the Mike and Ophelia Lazaridis Quantum Nano Center at the University of Waterloo, which is a $160 million facility that is a state-of-the-art experimental facility for research that rivals the best research facilities in the world. So our goal with these organizations, which I'm pleased to say is happening, was to build a research capability that is analogous to that of the Bell Labs in New Jersey in the first half of the 20th century. But while the Bell Labs was focused on the early understanding of quantum mechanics and semiconductor-based technologies, which led to things like the transistor and integrated circuits, the researchers in Waterloo are very much focused on the latest discoveries in physics based on quantum materials and quantum technologies, which could transform everything from healthcare to energy exploration, from security to computing, and so much more. So earlier this summer, my longtime friend and business partner Doug Freegan and I launched the Quantum Valley Investment Fund. This is a $100 million fund whose goal is to provide financial and intellectual capital to researchers trying to commercialize breakthrough technologies in quantum information science, and only quantum information science. We believe that these breakthroughs will lead to the creation of new jobs, new companies, and new value creation, and our goal is to establish the Waterloo region as the Quantum Valley of Canada, in the same way the discoveries and innovations at Bell Labs led to the creation of the Silicon Valley in California. So in closing, I'd once again like to thank the Intelligent Community Forum for honoring me today. A special word of thanks to Brenda Holleran, the Mayor of Waterloo, for her leadership in helping Waterloo be recognized as the most innovative city in 2007. I also want to respect and honor the recent passing of the two former mayors of Waterloo, the Honorable Herb Epp and the Honorable Lynn Wollstonecraft, that helped make Waterloo the great city that it is today. And finally, I'd like to acknowledge my wife, my lovely wife Ophelia, and my children for putting up with me and supporting my dreams. Thank you very much.